Did you ever wonder how processes or experimentation considered as science? Or you are amazed in a magic entertainment while scrolling your phone not knowing that it is through the power of science? The word science is derived from Latin word scientia, which means knowledge based on demonstrable and reproducible data according to Merriam-Webster dictionary. True to this definition, science aims for measurable results through testing and analysis, a process known as scientific method. Science is based on fact, not opinion or preferences. The process of science is designed to challenge ideas through research. One important aspect of scientific processes is that focuses only to natural world. According to the University of California, Berkeley, anything that is considered supernatural or beyond physical reality does not fit into the definition of science. And so, why science as a method and results? And we will also discuss what is verification theory. But first, the viewers should know what are our learning objectives in this video.
There are the two objectives in our topic, the cognitive domain and affective domain. First is the cognitive domain. You need to identify the difference of science and philosophy using the verification theory. The second and affective domain is you need to articulate the insight of learning and reporters about the importance of science applications on today's society.
Topic 1, Science as Method and Result. According to our group, science is equal or same in method with a result. Science, the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment according to Oxford languages. In simple terms, science is composed of several methods and experiment to produce result. Method, a particular form of procedure for accomplishing or approaching something. In science, the method used is scientific method. And lastly, the result, consequence, effect, or outcome of something. So the result is the outcome of the experiment, the product, or the judgment.
Solution of proofs why science as method and result. It's evident that science is a method and result if you read the definition of science itself. So science, the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. General idea of how to do science. Step 1 is observe. Know if there an explained occurrence or problem. Observation in the surroundings or occurrence situation issues. Step 2 is determine the problem. Identify the factors involved. Know in full or initial reasons why the phenomenon happened or opinion by other people.
Step 3. Formulate hypotheses. Make an assumption that could explain said phenomenon and reject hypothesis with no legal evidence, predicting what will be the final result. Reject hypothesis without support facts and accept assumption with correct evidence. Step 4. Conduct the experiment. Setting up the independent variables and trying to see how independent affects dependent ones. Performing physical experiment.
Step 5. Gather and analyze. Collect all results throughout and upon completion of the experiment. Examine if data gathered are significant enough to conclude result. Or gather the result beginning and to the end of the experiment and examine if data is enough to draw a conclusion. The sixth step is the formulate conclusion. present the final judgment of the experiment, and provide recommendation in case others would want to broaden the study. Or final judgment of given experiment, state what is true or new discovers, and provide recommendation. Therefore, method and result is our scientific method, which is science, and according to the preference, two distinct features that give science are experimentation and empiricism, or sense experience, throughout the courses of history. However, due to the birth of pseudoscience, or a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method and of scientific procedure in science, the two becomes more confusing.
The earliest criterion that distinguished philosophy and science is verification theory. The idea proposes a discipline is science if it can be performed or interpreted in an event of an alternative hypothesis being accepted. Philosophy versus science. Both philosophy and science employ reason, both look for evidence and experience. The difference is the type of the question they ask. Scientific questions are well informed and can be given definite answer by applying the scientific method. Philosophical questions are open questions. Specifying the question requires the use of conceptual analysis, and experimental investigation may not determine the answer. The main difference between science and philosophy is that science deals with hypothesis testing based on factual data, whereas philosophy deals logical analysis based on reason. Science is conceived from philosophy and thus dependent on its theory to begin with. In that regard, said theory gives premium to empiricism and only takes into account those results which are measurable and experiments which are repeatable. This was espoused by a movement in the early 20th century called the Vienna Circle, a group of scholars who believe that only those who can be observed should be regarded as meaningful and reject those cannot be directly accessed as meaningless. Initially, this proves to be attractive due to general consensus from people, which happen to see for themselves how the experiment occurred, solidifying its validity and garnering supporters from student figures. Its shortcoming, however, proved to be somewhat too risky. Several budding theories that lacks empirical results might be shut down prematurely, causing lower innovation and pushing ingenuity of newer, novel thoughts. Quantum mechanics would not been prospered if scientific society during the time of Edwin Schrödinger did not entertain his outrageous thought that the cat in a box is both dead and alive, which can be determined once you look in the box yourself. Aside from above critique, this theory completely fails to weed out bogus arguments that explain things coincidentally. A classic example is astrology. Those followers are completely to employ the verification method in ascertaining its reliability. The idea is that since one already has some sort of expectation on what to find, they will interpret events in line with said expectations. American philosopher Thomas Kuhn warned us against bridging the gap against evidence and theory by attempting to interpret the former according to our own biases. That is, whether or not we subscribe to the theory. Next is a short story illustrating this point. Suppose, for instance, this girl, Leia, has a theory that her classmate, Ayan, likes her. Good, she thought. I like him too, but how do I know that he likes me? She began by observing him and his interactions with her. Several gestures she noted include his always interchanging pleasantries with her wherever they bumped into each other, his big smile when he sees her, and him going out the way to greet her even when riding a jeepney. Through these observations, she then able to conclude that Ayan does like her because she thought, why would anyone do something like that for a person he does not like? It turns out, whatever Ayan is just generally happy to meet people he knew. He had known Leia since they were first year and regards her as a generally okay person. It is not surprise when that upon learning that Ayan basically does this to everyone, Leia was crushed. He vowed to herself that he would never assume again. For our viewers, express what do you think about the importance of science application on today's society. Let us know your insight and comment below.